Alright, the latest episode of The Ultimate Fighter just dropped, and I'm here to talk about it. As you guys know, on a week-to-week basis, we usually talk about the episode, and instead, I'm going to release it the night of, just because I feel like, waiting for the next day, sometimes things don't happen that's too interesting, so this will be just like an extra video. There'll be another video tomorrow, so tune in for that. What's up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. If you guys are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, like, comment, and share, and today we're going to be talking about The Ultimate Fighter. Conor McGregor once again goes 0-4, 4 losses in a row for his team. It's pretty bad. I will say, though, as I said in the last recap, Conor does have a massive disadvantage with the prospect. If we're gonna be real, these aren't exactly the veterans that you would expect. Like, I think most people expected people that were like around 35, a little bit older, have been through the game, a little bit past their prime against the younger guys. But it's not really like that. A lot of these, veterans are really, around 30 years old in their prime against guys who don't have a lot of experience. We're gonna recap the whole episode. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for watching the show with me. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys thought of this episode, and let's just get into this. Alright, The Ultimate Fighter episode 4 just wrapped up, just finished watching, and this was an anticipated fight between Timur Valiev and Trevor Wells. If you guys remember, about 2 weeks ago they were supposed to fight. Obviously Trevor Wells had to pull out, sort of. The commission wouldn't let him fight because he had an infection, so they had to delay the fight. And with Conor being 0-3 going into this episode, he wanted to switch things up, brought Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. We saw this prior, we saw it a couple months ago, so there was no surprise that he would eventually show up. But a lot of the episode was arguing about the catchweight. Now Michael Chandler's team wanted 145 pounds, one weight class over what they were supposed to fight at. That's like featherweight. They're supposed to be fighting at bantamweight, which tells you how big Timur is. Like, Timur must be really, really big. He did make 135 a couple weeks ago, and Michael Chandler's like, hey, listen, my guy didn't pull out. We should be able to decide the weight. While Conor McGregor, and his team, they want Trevor to still fight 135 pounds because he's a pretty small guy, and Timur is probably on the bigger side of bantamweight. Most of the Dagestani fighters usually cut a lot of weight when you look at Khabib, Islam Makhachev. I'm not trying to diss them. I'm just saying, these are facts. Usually a lot bigger the night of the fight. Same thing here. But eventually they decided on 142 pounds, which I thought Conor should have probably pushed it maybe to 140, 138, because let's be honest, this is Conor McGregor's show. He can pretty much do whatever he wants. He's walking around the octagon coaching his teammates when you're really not supposed to do that. He's coaching in this episode during a foul, which is also illegal. Obviously these are exhibitions, so the rules aren't really going to be taken as seriously by the commission probably, but nonetheless Conor is still cheating. Michael Chandler has a major disadvantage because he's only on one side of the cage. When you look at it like this, Michael Chandler doesn't have exactly the best view of grappling situations that are away from him, while Conor could just move and basically coach his fighter during every grappling exchange on the fence because he could just move from any side. So it's tough for Michael Chandler, but credit to him for still sticking with the rules. But my point is that this is Conor McGregor's show. He does what he wants. I would have tried to push for 138 pounds, maybe 135. I don't know. I don't think they were going to get to the bantamweight, but maybe closer to bantamweight, or maybe just right in the middle. I think 142 was a little much, but also Conor wasn't in that meeting deciding the weight. He kind of told his manager, the guy's not really there. I don't know what he's doing. At first I chalked it up to maybe he's training in the morning and maybe he's just motivated, but I find it hard to believe that the guy can't make time to go to these meetings, go to the weigh-ins. Come on, you can't just train an hour later. It's getting ridiculous. I gave Conor the benefit of the doubt, but it's honestly becoming a little bit more and more ridiculous each time. But eventually the two fight. The guys were talking actually early on in the episode, so you could tell they both kind of had a decent relationship with each other, and the first round was really close. Trevor Wells really did impress me, and I think it impressed a lot of people. I think a lot of people assume that the Dagestani is going to just take over easily, wrestle him, submit him, or just hound him out in the first round. But Trevor Wells held his own, and a lot of his scrambles were really good, and honestly I think if Trevor was fighting another guy, he might have gotten the win. And this was close. If this was a 3-round fight, I would have probably went with Trevor. Timur was gassed by the second round. The first round was really close. I just thought that Timur had more activity, so I gave that one to Timur. And in the second round, not very close at all. Obviously Timur got a takedown, lots of control time, but on the feet you could tell Timur was stressed. He was tired, and I think that's why Conor wanted a third round. He was very upset that there wasn't a third round of that fight, but those are the rules. You lose 2 rounds, you're not getting a third round. But it would have been interesting, because what if there was a third round? There's an argument to be said that Timur was gassed, he was tired, he might not have honestly been able to push the pace as well as he did in the other rounds, and maybe Trevor could have gotten the finish. There's a conversation around that could be taking place, and an argument that I could see, but that's not how the game works. Timur moves on, and with Conor 0-4, you gotta wonder, is his coaching bad? And that's what I'm going to talk about in today's episode. Like I said, first of all, I want to say, to be fair to Conor, his team, let's be honest, is a little bit harder to coach. They are prospects, they have way less experience. All these guys have been in the UFC, so their nerves are definitely going to be a lot less than the prospects, if we're going to be honest, because the veterans have fought on higher stages than them. I mean, the Ultimate Fighter is definitely a lower stage than actually fighting in the UFC. But something that did catch my attention at the end of the episode was when Trevor Wells said, hey, if he would have trained more grappling, he would have won the fight. And my question is, that's not really up to him. You have coaches for a reason, especially high-level coaches like Conor McGregor and his team. As a prospect, you're probably going to trust their coaching team, and it's just a surprise surprised to me that they didn't really train grappling so much. I'm sure they train grappling to a certain degree, but even when you look at Conor's training, it's mostly striking. And if we're gonna be honest, that's how we really imagine Conor McGregor training, right? There's this idea that he doesn't train wrestling, he doesn't train jiu-jitsu, even though he actually is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, I think. I'm sorry, Conor is a brown belt. I actually looked it up because I think I said this in a previous video and you guys tore me apart in the comment section. My bad, guys. He's a brown belt. But either way, that's still pretty high. And you got to imagine that Conor probably doesn't train too much grappling. If we're going to be honest, it's mostly striking. And hey, that's what he's good at. That's probably what he's going to stick with. But at the same time, when you're training prospects, you know, I think it's a better idea to just be a little bit more well-rounded, especially in a competition like this where you could be fighting one style and then 2 weeks later, you could be fighting a totally different style. And it just seems like to me that Michael Chandler's just a little bit more into the coaching. You know, you could see, you know, he personally goes to the fighters, he makes relationships with the fighters. Chandler's even done interviews after the fact saying that he's connected with a lot of the fighters. So I definitely think that Conor needs to change up something. Maybe, you know, you get some more grappling people in there. Like, it doesn't even have to be like a really big wrestler. Like, even a guy like Paul Craig or his friend Gunnar Nelson, who is also really good on the ground. Someone like that, even though that's jiu-jitsu. Preferably, I like to see Conor bring in some sort of wrestler, but it is what it is. And next week looks like a good episode, I'm gonna be honest. There's some sort of drama with the guy Michael Chandler's gonna be coaching. He is actually Conor's teammate, and it seems like there's some sort of friction between him and Michael Chandler, which we're gonna see next week. Maybe this is where Conor pushes Michael Chandler, because we've all been waiting for this. Conor has lost all the first matchups, and at best, he's gonna just be able to tie Michael Chandler in all those matchups. So I don't really know, how do you decide who wins the Ultimate Fighter? Is it the person that actually wins the show? Because let's be real, there could be like 2 guys from Conor's team, and they could just both win the Ultimate Fighter. Does that mean Conor won? Is it who wins more fights? Because I tend to believe who wins more fights. So we're gonna see. Obviously, the matchups are going to be taking place soon, and this season is like about halfway done. Actually, it's not halfway done, crazy enough, but it's close there. So let me know what you guys thought about the episode. Tomorrow there's gonna be a video talking about Nate Diaz, Jake Paul. I'm gonna give you guys my thoughts on that whole situation. Thank you guys for watching. You guys are the best fan base in MMA. Like I said, let me know what you guys thought about the episode. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.